It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, let's talk about another area where we kind of see some, in our opinion, shysters exist. Now, we're not suggesting that this space, because this is going to be such a hot take for us, we're not suggesting that this space is nothing but shysters, but it is really interesting how this class has changed over the last couple of years. But cryptocurrencies and NFTs, this idea of digital assets, it appears to us that there are a lot of people, a lot of players, a lot of actors in that space that may have had more sinister ideas than they let on when they originally began attracting investors. And there was a huge headline that just hit. This came out back at the first. The SEC charged 11 people in an alleged $300 million crypto Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, this is not a foreign thing, because you can take assets that should be positive, should be cutting edge, unique, and then turn them negative. Think about like equities. We love equities. But pump and dump schemes, I mean, all you have to do is go watch that movie Boiler Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you see what there's schemers out there that will turn these what should be a positive thing, and they find the dark side of it to rip people off. Well, the same things happen with cryptos, and the fact that, and by the way, we've done some React videos to some TikTokers who basically, when we watched the React, we were like, that sounds a lot like a Ponzi scheme, because they're like trying to encourage, get everybody you know in this thing, because as you get everybody in, the price will keep going up and up and up and up, and then you'll be able to sell it before it all falls down. That is the definition of a pyramid scheme, of a Ponzi scheme. And now I don't even, because when you make those statements, when we did the React series, people were like, that's so rude of you guys to make those allegations and say that. Well, look at this. The SEC just charged 11 people with a $300 million crypto Ponzi scheme. So now I'm not saying all, but it does confirm what we've been sharing. Be very careful, because the problem we've had with cryptos, they don't innovate. They don't. Now, look, blockchain's cool.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, it's no different. The internet was cool, but, webgrocer.com isn't going to make you a gazillion dollars just because they're on the internet. Same thing with cryptos. If you don't know what's driving the value, it's just that they've convinced somebody to pay more than they paid, because there's no dividend, there's no interest, there's no dividends, there's no innovation. It is one of those things. There's a reason old school investors like Warren Buffett are concerned about it. Pay attention to those things, because there are crooks out there.
Not only that, not only the crooked part, but obviously we're seeing some cracks and some trouble here. The U.S. equity markets have been in a bear market this year, right? But if you look at what's happened across the price of a lot of cryptos and NFTs, they've been like in a depression, with some of the major cryptocurrencies being down as much as like 70%. And so what we've seen is, as crypto prices have fallen, we've also seen a huge drop off in the sales of NFTs. If you look at this chart, this is from Non-Fungible. If you look at NFT sales per day from 2020 till now, sales have fallen by 91% in less than 1 year. If that doesn't sound like a bubble, if that doesn't sound like something that was too frothy, I don't know what does. And if you look at this chart, man, everyone telling you that this is what you ought to be doing with your money, what you ought to be doing with your life savings, this is the next frontier. I worry if you were to act on that advice right now, you're sitting there having some major, major regrets.
Yeah, I told, when we were going through this in the content meeting, I was like, we could take out the NFT logo there, or the icon, and just put Tulip Mania from the 1600s, and it wouldn't be much different. I mean, this thing was all hype, all boost. Everybody got in a frenzy about it, and then it collapsed on itself. So just be careful. These type of things, because there's people, if there's ways to make money, people are going to be pumping stuff up, and you always need to be very careful of those things. Bo, talk to us about how do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, the big thing, and this is, again, a hot take. We live in the world of TikTok and Instagram, and the flashy, sexy sizzle is the thing that attracts eyeballs and gets views. Building wealth oftentimes is not super sexy. It's not super exciting. It's kind of boring, realistically. Yeah. If you just put in the the foundational, fundamental steps to wealth building, it might not be something you talk at a cocktail party about. You might not want to tell someone, hey, guess what my savings rate was last year? Because they're just not going to flip out at that. But we've seen time and time and time and time again, it works. If you can get a solid financial foothold in place, then it's okay if you trickle into some of these more esoteric areas, but only in the right time. You have to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in the right order.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Bo, when I meet you at a cocktail party and you're telling me about your latest and greatest trading scheme or the individual stock that you bought, I'll smile and I just kind of absorb what you're sharing. I don't really, just take it in.
Great.
But if you live next door or you're a friend and we've gotten to the point where I actually feel a vested interest in trying to engage. I've had this type of moment where I've had dear friends who tell me when they're buying, whatever social media company's booming at the time, and they're telling me all the trading and all the stress with the volatility, and I'm just smiling. And then eventually we'll be sitting on their back porch and I'll be like, do you want to know what I do with my money? I buy index funds.
Yep.
I was like, that way I'm just getting the innovation of the market. I don't have to worry about all the calories and the emotional stuff of what's going up and down. I'm just always be buying. It just takes it out. And what's always great for me is when that friend, after they've watched this, they've experienced it, and they start paying attention and they go, you know what I realized this year? The market did great last year. I compared what I made with all my trading and hemming and hawing and worrying about things, and then I compared it to what that S&P 500 did. You made more money last year, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, you're catching on. I mean, this is, I know it's not sexy. I know, and truthfully, it's liberating because I don't have to waste mental capacity on that type of stuff. And that's why, look, we've put so much thought into this that we actually created the financial order of operations. I mean, just like math with, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, there's a way, you better know where parentheses fall with addition, subtraction. There's an order of properly calculating math problems. It's the same thing with finance. Finance has so much math. You better understand what order to do your financial life to maximize your next dollar, and we give it away. If you go to moneyguy.com/resources, you can actually download this 9-step process.
And what I love about this is it serves as a guardrail from helping you get off course. If you just follow the financial order of operations, it's really kind of hard to screw it up because there are a lot of boxes you have to check before you start getting into the things like private placements or unique esoteric investments or that kind of stuff. That happens far enough along in your wealth journey. You know the sure steps that you've been taking. So you can go check out the resource, moneyguy.com/resources. We also have a course if you want to do a deep dive into this. You can go to learn.moneyguy.com and do a course. But perhaps you're someone saying, man, I hear you guys, but I've reached this level of success and I've been saving and I've been doing okay and I've got some wealth built up, but I do hear about my friends. They're doing these private placements. They're buying this proper. They're doing these other things. And I just don't know how to sift through what's good and what's not good and how do I know? And by the way, I have a day job and I have my family and I have these commitments. I wish I had someone in my corner to help me navigate that. That's another great way that you can protect yourself. If you feel like you're living in that world where people are constantly coming after you, trying to have you part with your dollars, perhaps that's a great time to take it to the next level. Because we have no problem being the bad guy. We've done this a number of times where we'll sit in a pitch meeting with someone and we'll ask the hard questions. Hey, how much do you get paid on this? Hey, how much skin do you have in this? And that's okay because you may be looking at the very first private equity deal you've ever looked at, but we've looked at hundreds of them and we've been able to help clients navigate what does make sense and what doesn't make sense. So if you find yourself in that place, taking the relationship to the next level might not be a horrible idea.
And then before we close it out, I have one other thing because I think people come to us sheepishly because they want us to work with us. They want to take the relationship to the next level, but they they fancy themselves a stock picker or they like doing crypto. And look, I resemble a lot of this. Everybody knows I have Tesla. Everybody knows that I dabbled in some cryptos because I felt like to be better for you guys, I better get in there too to understand some of this stuff. The big thing we do, you don't have to keep this as a secret. You just come to us and we're just going to give you the guidance. It's okay to dabble in some of these things, but just don't let them be greater than 5% of your total financial assets. So we're okay. We're not one of those people who go pound you and about your lifestyle and doing these things and teetotal, don't do this. We're going to work with you to make sure you get to be the best version of yourself, but still go do the things that bring you happiness.